It's amazing. Okay, I love, this is one of my favorite meetings of the year, because usually Susan doesn't let me talk to people, but
Always says
Leadership Fredericksburg is like, it's the crucible of leadership development training. It really is. I think what you've heard from both Monica and Brad is if you invest in yourself and invest in the program, you internalize all of these things that they just talked about. And as marvelous as I think Leadership Fredericksburg is, and it really is, the fact of the matter is there are a lot of community-based leadership development programs. Richmond has one, Charlottesville has one, Nashville, New Hampshire has one. One of the things that I think differentiates ours from theirs is the fact that we have a one-on-one mentoring program. The mentors in the program are selected from prior graduates, they're fellows, they've been through the program, they've learned what you're gonna learn, they've stumbled where you're gonna stumble, they've picked themselves up, developed the kind of relationships and networking positives that you've just heard about. And that's a difference between our program and a lot of the other community-based programs. Some of the other programs might have a mentor, but it's more like a high school guidance counselor where there's maybe one that supports the whole class. And you knock on the door and you say, hi, my name is Joan and this is what I'd like to talk to you about, and maybe they'll have a good idea. I think, Mike, in your case, looking for a sounding board, looking for feedback, looking for quality guidance, you're gonna have a mentor, one-on-one. And now I'm gonna talk about the mentors. I think they're a very, very strong complement to the curriculum, to the faculty, to the executive speakers who come in from outside businesses and outside organizations and will share with you their respective leadership journeys. How did they get where they got? How did they pick themselves up when they fell? How many failures did they have before they realized this is not the way to go forward and self-corrected or got the kind of guidance that I got during my career, stumbled many times, but my bosses had enough confidence in me that they gave me a fourth and fifth chance sometimes. Never got it on the second chance. One of the things that I think is particularly important about the leadership, about mentoring, we'll just stick generic mentoring, and I simplify it by using 3 C's. I think the first is the relationship that you have, and you'll meet your mentor at the end of the very first class day. The first is confidentiality. When I do the training, I talk to them about the importance of confidentiality. The things that you talk about are the things that stay between you and your mentor. If you have confidentiality, anything can be discussed. If you don't have confidentiality, you don't have a relationship. And mentoring is all about a relationship. Susan goes to great lengths in matching the fellows, which is what the program participants are called, with the mentors. And there's no common denominator. They're not your next door neighbor. You don't both sing in the same church choir. Your significant other doesn't work with their significant other. So in a lot of cases, you're not even in the same industries. So there's a professional and a personal separation that allows you to have a start from zero kind of relationship on that first day in September. Now, there are only 9 classes, and the expectation is that you'll meet once a month. So you've kind of got to hit the ground running to build that relationship. And I think, and I pound this during the training, I believe that pledge of confidentiality is one of the things that assures both mentor and fellow that what happens here stays here. The second is candor, because if you've got the confidentiality, if you've got the foundation of confidentiality, you can kind of talk about anything. And things that are needed in your career, things that are needed maybe in your educational background, things that are needed in terms of helping work your way through a difficult issue with a difficult customer, a difficult employee, a difficult boss. It's that kind of candor that can get fleshed out. And the third C that I like to talk about is commitment. Now, it's one thing to meet once a month, and most of the teams meet, I would have to say, within a week or 10 days after class. So whatever got discussed is fairly fresh in everybody's mind. But that's somewhat transactional. Okay, we're gonna meet the fourth Tuesday of every month, and we're gonna have breakfast at Panera. Okay, great. That's somewhat transactional. Here comes Tuesday, I'm gonna have a meeting. Here comes Tuesday, I'm gonna have a meeting. What I think is really important, and I think it's the centerpiece of commitment, is I think the mentor needs to be there when you need them. So if the mentor gets a call on a Sunday night at 7:30 because the fellow happened to have forgotten about a presentation that he's got to make the next day, or she's got to make the next day, and has a set of charts that she'd like some feedback on, well, okay, it's 7:30 on Sunday night. Flip me the charts. We can talk about it. I'll call you back at 8:30. That's commitment. That's commitment to be there when you're needed, not the transactional commitment of Tuesday at 8:30, we're going to meet for breakfast at Panera. And I think there's a big difference. Sometimes it works that way. Some fellows don't need that level of commitment. I mean, they're comfortable. It's not all that urgent, but I think it's important for the mentor to express the sense that when you call me, it's not an intrusion. You're not intruding on my... Now, if I'm sitting down to dinner, I may wait until after dinner. Can I call you back, or, so-and-so, yeah, whatever. So I think that's the level of commitment that I expect and that you should expect from your respective mentors. And I think that's foundational to the relationship. So the mentoring is a complement. It's a complement to the executive speakers, to the class, to the curriculum, to the faculty, and I think that in time, and maybe not the first meeting, but in time, you'll end up talking about your careers. You'll start talking about professional growth. You'll start talking about networking kind of things within the community. If you happen to be already involved in a leadership role in a community organization, that's fair game. And sooner or later, you're going to end up talking about family. That 16-year-old daughter of mine is just, what can I do next? What else can I do? We've all been there. So the relationship building is important. I think it's essential, and I think it's one of the things that makes Leadership Fredericksburg such a distinctly different and distinctly important program.